Hi there, my name is Nathaniel Moore, and I want to welcome you all to the seminar discussing Deltamath in the classroom curriculum. So, once again, I'm going to take you through this process and introduce you to Deltamath, which I believe is useful in many, many mathematics classrooms. So let's begin. First thing is, who am I? Well, my name is Nathaniel Moore. Here's me. I am a teacher and I've been teaching for 4 years. I've been teaching at Morton East High School in Cicero, Illinois. And I have taught Integrated 1, Integrated 2, and Integrated 3 mathematics. If you're not familiar with the integrated system, instead of normal teaching algebra, geometry, and then algebra 2, we typically try to do Integrated Mathematics 1, which is kind of like a mixture of freshman, algebra, and geometry, and then it would be a mixture of algebra geometry for sophomores, and then a mixture of algebra geometry for juniors. That's how we kind of break it up. So, welcome to my seminar. I want to talk to you about what is deltamath.com. Well, deltamath.com is an online math practice and learning site. It is a resource of randomly generated mathematics problems for levels ranging from middle school to calculus, as well as a separate sections for computer science. Its content meets Common Core standards for mathematics. It was also made by a man named Zach Korzik, who was a New York City public school math teacher. He was also known as a master teacher as well. He created this site as an online tool to help his 11th grade students learn problems. Now, what does it feature? Well, it provides a lot of different tools. So, for instance, it provides various tools for mathematical learning, 1,200 different lessons and modules that cover grades from middle school to even AP Calculus, and like we said, computer science. It has an unlimited amount of randomly generated problems. So that's one of the issues that I know a lot of teachers have, is that they don't want to have to make their own problems, and this one will randomly generate them. So there are literally a limited amount of problems that you could basically generate so that you could provide them to your students. It gives step-by-step directions for all of its problems too. So if you'd like to show students a step-by-step process, it will actually provide that for them. So you are not needed 100% of the time sometimes. It is extremely easy to use. It is to customize its assignments and creation tools. And it's accessible on all computers, browsers, tablets, and cell phones. There is even an app, so students can even access it on their phone in a very, very easy way. And it's pretty user-friendly. It also provides monitoring and feedback on student work with animated solutions for all problems. So this is great because then you can also kind of get instant feedback for yourself and the students right away. So students can find out right away what their score was on assignment. You can see what their score was as well, and it gives a percentage-based number. And we'll be showing you more of that in just a few. So it also has simple exportation of student work to Excel, Google Sheets, etc., for analysis. So you can export it onto any kind of, it's pretty user-friendly and gets along with other programs if you like to use some kind of grid-based system. So what else does it feature? Well, feedback. Like, for instance, let's look at graphing lines. I'm actually going to pull up one about graphing lines here. Here is an example of trying to graph lines from equations. It's a randomly generated problem. And for instance, if you wanted to be like, I don't like this problem, you can always just go, new problem. And it'll provide an unlimited amount of new problems for you. And if you'd like it to show you a solution, you just can hit show solution. So I'm going to hit new problem and get one that I like. All right, let's try this one. Now, it wants me to graph this line of y equals negative x plus 4. Well, it requires me to kind of click in two different spots to kind of graph that line. And so if I submit my answer, it'll ask me if I'm sure I can hit yes. And what it'll do is show me exactly what I did right and what I did wrong. For instance, here is my graph. Well, obviously I went 6 over and 4 up, so my rise was 4, my run was 6, when really it should have been something like 1, negative 1. It shows me exactly what I was supposed to do. It also tells me the solution in words explaining what I did wrong. So it says your graph should intersect the y-axis at 0, 4. So next, multiplying fractions. Well, here's a great one where it shows us how to break down multiplying fractions and the process of that. So for instance, this one we have 1/3 and asks us, hey, take this fraction as parts. Well, it's 1/3, so we know it's going to be in 3 pieces. It's 1/3, so only one is going to be shaded. Then here's the second fraction, which is 2/7. So I'm going to hit this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And then there's 2 of them, so 2 of them would be lit up. So then we can hit done. And then what it'll ask me to do is drag one to the other. And then you can start to show you what is happening here. Notice how it kind of lit up everything. And I said, hey, how many of the little rectangles are overlapping? Well, obviously, if I look at these two, they're overlapping. There are 2 out of how many together? Well, if you do 7 times 3, that'd be 21, or you can count them all up, but it'd be 21. So try both. And then it's going to ask, hey, well, what is in unsimplified form? Would be 2 over 21. Try that. Submit your answer. Yes. And there we go. So it will tell you to simplify them too if you need to, and it will break that down. Some other great features are animations that it has. For instance, let's look at this one about simplifying fractions graphically. Well, so here we have this wheel of fraction, and then it's like, well, let's try to make this as a fraction. It says our original fraction is how many of these squares, or how many of these portions? It is 10 out of 15 total. So we could do 10 out of 15. We could try that. What's the common factor? Well, the number that can go into 10 and 15 would be 5. And notice how it shows an animation of it splitting it up. And notice how it brought it into thirds. And told us, hey, there are 3 thirds, 1, 2, 3. And then what's a simplified fraction? Well, 2 of them out of 3. We can submit that answer. Yes. And gives immediate feedback and shows us exactly how and why we get these answers. And it does this for every question. So then let's look at another one. Distribution. So for instance, I have to distribute 5x into 9 plus 3x. Well, let's say I just want it to show me the solution instead. What it's going to do is show me an animation of it combining it. 5 times 9 and 5x times 3x, and kind of groups them for me, and will show the combination of these two. So if we want to, it'll show us the final answer, and it'll continue to show this process so that students can get a visual representation of how this works. Another great feature is that it shows guided modules that give hints along the way. For instance, here, if we're trying to look at the box method, which is multiplying binomials. So it already kind of set up. In this one, it just wants us to kind of drag them in, so that way we can kind of start to set this up. This is just a useful tool for those who are trying to teaching multiplying binomials, and then kind of separates it. So we can go, okay, 2x times 5x, well, that would be 10x to the power 2. 2x times negative 4 would be negative 8x. 6 times 5x would be 30x. And then 6 times negative 4 would be negative 24. And we can try that. Now it wants us to write the simplified answer in the box below, and it'll continue to kind of show us step by step how to do that, including adding like terms. It'll use color coordination, so that way we can kind of see it as it goes further. It's a great step-by-step process for students that need that. Another one, transformations. This one is very, very interesting too. I've lost my transformations one. Let me get that really quickly then. An easy thing you can do is if you go back here, you can actually search for any program that you would like, any module. You have a myriad of different things. They're color-coded for different functions, different groups, as you like to go along, but there is a sheer number of different problems that are usable. You can also search by Common Core standards. If you want to go like EE, it'll bring up all of the different Common Core standards for you if you want to search for it that way as well. For instance, I want to look for transformations. Let's find transforming, which one was it? Transforming a figure by a vector. That wasn't the one I was looking for before. It was transformations guided. I think so. Let's try that. Nope, that's a different one. Okay, I found a better one. I found the section I was looking for. Excuse me. So, in this situation, it wants to find the composition of transformation shapes. Determine the series of transformations that would take the polygon A, B, C, D, E onto polygon A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, E prime. Well, it allows them to kind of select and decide, hey, is this a reflection, a rotation, a translation, or a dilation? In this case, it would be a reflection over what? Well, it would be the x-axis or a y-axis. If I say a y-axis, it'll clearly go from one side to the other. Then it's going to ask, well, what do you have to do next after you do that to get it to map onto here? I'm going to say a translation, and it's going to move which way? Up, down, left, or right? Well, it'd be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go up about 3 units. Let's see if I got that one right. Submit. Yes. Oh, and it kind of shows me exactly what I was trying to do. It will do this for dilations, for other things as well. So it just shows a great kind of animation tool for that. Another thing, it shows us mental math time sections for those people who need extra practice with multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, any of those kind of quick mental maths and things. For instance, I found one on trigonometry, which I thought was very useful for my students. Here, it's asking students to identify trig ratios, time, and it's going to ask them to try to get 10 of them right in 100 seconds. So if I hit start, it'll go start. All right, find tangent of B. And so then I'd have to look here at tangent and know, okay, what is tangent? Well, that is the opposite or the adjacent. So it would be 21 over 20. I'd have to look down here to find it. 21 over 20. Next, find cosine of B. Well, here's B. I know cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So 36 over 45. 36 over 45 is here. And then we'll try to beat their scores. One of the last ones is word problems. Word problems are usually really great ways to show real-world examples. The one that I found was one on Pythagorean theorem word problems. For instance, if you start driving north at 16 miles, turn right and drive east for another 30 miles, at the end of the driving, what is the straight line distance from your starting point? So, if you look on here, I kind of will draw it out for them as well and show them step by step on how to solve this process. Additionally, there was one more I wanted to find. Where was it? Here, linear system word problems, animals. An animal shelter spends $3.50 per day to care for each cat and $70 per day for each dog. Isaac noticed that the shelter spent $157.50 caring for cats and dogs on Thursday. Isaac found a record showing that there were a total of 28 cats and dogs on Thursday. How many cats were in the shelter on Thursday? So, and we'll give them step-by-step process on trying to solve those linear equations. So, this just shows the versatility of this program.